Hi everyone, this is Chantay. So welcome to a weekend review of today's politics. This week's politics, excuse me. A weekend review of political headlines. Always jack that up. So I'm not going to be long because it is late and, people got things to do tomorrow because there are people that do work on Saturday. So I am not going to be long-winded. If you want to catch this full live, you can always go to my YouTube channel or you can watch on my Instagram feed. The Instagram TV thing, if you know what I mean. So I just got some COVID numbers. I'm going to pull this up really quick. I'm not going to be long pulling these COVID numbers up because it only takes in a matter of minutes. And so here we are with COVID. So global confirmed cases is 126,026,603. Global death toll is 2 million. Wait, hold up. Let me see if I have this right. Yeah. Okay. So global deaths are 2,766,824. U.S. confirmed cases is 30,155,046. And the U.S. death toll is 548,067. So again, the global confirmed cases is 126,603. Global death toll is 2,766,824. U.S. confirmed cases is 30,155,046. And U.S. death toll is 548,067. You can find that all on the Johns Hopkins website. In terms of vaccinations, there's over 200 million Americans have been vaccinated. Keep in mind the population for the USA is 328.2. There we go. Because I always had that number in my head and I keep forgetting. So there's 328.2 million people live in this country and 200 million has been vaccinated. That's more than half, which that is pretty good. But however, if you are able to get vaccinated, please get vaccinated. I'm going to my doctors so I can get vaccinated, so I know which vaccine I can take because I do have allergies to medicine. I have allergies to penicillin and I believe I now have an allergy towards biotin. So whatever medicine you can take, please go and take it. It's important that you take that vaccine so you can be safe. And after you take it, you still wear your mask because the CDC has not recommended for anybody to remove their mask until it's safe enough, until everybody's vaccinated or until we have mitigation efforts still being in place, because there are states that's lifting their mask mandates, about like 17 of them. Most of them are between in the South and the Midwest, which, it's not surprising. But this is where we are in terms of the vaccine. Yes, and I have a nurse watching that got vaccinated, so kudos to you. I encourage everybody to get vaccinated. It's nothing wrong with the vaccines. It seems like everybody is alive and fine, but you still need to wear your mask. We're not out of this yet, and we're going to stop wearing our masks. I said the earliest, probably the end of the year, but most likely we'll be wearing our masks into next year, depending on how people's behaviors are in terms of the vaccine. I hope that makes sense. Now, with this press conference that, President Biden had yesterday, which I thought he performed very well and answered people's questions, it seemed like people were very fixated on the crisis at the border. There's no crisis at the border last time I checked. I mean, there's minors still in these detention centers, unaccompanied minors, because they came here due to the fact that they was escaping all the violence that went on. Because their parents was probably dead already. Or probably couldn't have the money to, come to America. So kids are fleeing the crazy shit that's happening in their country. And COVID is everywhere. It's not just in the United States, it's everywhere. It's probably in their states, in their countries too. So it's either way, It is what it is. While it was a mess during the Trump era because Donald Trump blew the immigration crisis out of control. He did that. Even though President Obama deported more people, but President Obama did not separate families. It's a huge difference there. And to the reporters, you guys really fucked up. Like, you guys dropped the ball on many levels. You guys did not ask about the Biden rescue plan, which is the COVID relief package that people did get their $1,400, even though some people didn't get theirs. And to find out from the Rachel Maddow show was due to the Social Security office, which there's still a Trump appointee still freaking there. Which Joe Biden is trying to get all his appointees, appointed. But, when you got the Republican caucus in the Senate still being jackasses, and then you got one Democrat who just being a redneck dickhead, how are you going to get your people confirmed? But who am I? But reporters have dropped the ball. They did. They didn't ask about the COVID package. They didn't ask about vaccines, even though 200 million people got vaccinated. I know some people that got vaccinated myself. They did not ask about the infrastructure. They didn't ask about the Voting Rights Act. They did not ask about the Justice and Policing Act. They didn't talk about climate change or racial inequity. All they talked about was a goddamn crisis at the border. Last time I checked, I'm not being harassed. Nobody's harassing me. I'm fine. I'm safe in these streets. I'm good. I live in a city where there's a melting pot. Well, a state. Well, technically in a city where there's a melting pot. I am worried less about the kids in, centers, which eventually they will, be placed in a home or with a family or with their family members. I'm less worried about that because I know they're going to be fine versus the COVID situation, which takes precedence over every situation that affects every situation, including the immigration crisis, our economic crisis, the climate crisis. Hello, education. It affects everything. When you can't solve the public health crisis, you can't solve no crisis, including the immigration crisis, okay? And kudos to President Biden putting Vice President Harris in charge of the crisis at the border. And of course, you have all the racist GQP, the Grand QAnon Party. Replace that Q from that O. Doug Ducey, governor of Arizona, who is also hiding COVID numbers, hint, hint, decided he wants to place his misogyny and his bigotry and saying that the vice president is not qualified to handle the crisis at the border. Last time I checked, she's a child of immigrants. That's 1, 2. Most of her law career, besides dealing with sexual crimes, was also dealing with kids that were deported or kids that were, had undocumented status. So what the fuck are you talking about, Douglas Ducey? I mean, cut the fucking shit. Like, cut the whole BS. Like, because you're mad whack. And to all the white men that's criticizing the vice president, whether you're on the right or on the left, cry now. Because she is the second command in charge. And most likely will probably be the president one day. And you're just going to have to deal with that. Because black people are the rising majority. Let me read your comments. Media is not going to ask any questions that requires them to research and work. That is very true. They're fine with the right-wing talking points. And they did fall for the Republican narrative. They fell for it. So who was the winner from all those questionings that the Republicans did? The GQP was second under Joe Biden because they fell for the fucking shit. You fell for the okie doke. So reporters, great job of reporting yesterday because you guys fell for the motherfucking okie doke. You fell for the Republican narrative. And two, Meghan McCain, which I'm about to get to her real soon. You need to know that the mainstream media that you said they were liberal media is actually not. They actually side with more Republicans than Democrats and always have been. They just did not like Donald Trump because he was a whole entire asshole. And even that, they gave him a pass. So, Megan, I'm going to need for you to change that talking point real quick. Okay? Let's also read one of your comments. Variants everywhere and the stupid Republicans deflecting from the border. Of course. I live in New York. We got a New York variance here. And despite my governor's personal issues, because, you know, he got his thing going on, he's being investigated, he's the only one and the lieutenant governor in this state that's actually doing their job, and the AG. Because the city leadership is so fucking terrible. From the mayor to the public advocate, it's bad. Okay? Like, they are the worst fucking leaders from this city. They make Mayor Giuliani look like golden, and I hated him. Okay? Just saying. The corporate media is going to protect their interests. Of course. It's about money. It's all about money. It's all about money with these people, and it's going to be. But they don't realize that people are hip and people are like, you know, they're savvy. People are savvy these days. People actually go do their research, and they don't use Wikipedia. Because I don't like to use Wikipedia. We actually go on different news websites and different history websites to actually do the actual research and the actual work. Some primary sources, but mostly secondary sources. So there you have that. In terms of Fox News, so I saw a clip of the White House press briefing, and Press Secretary Psaki definitely gathered little Stephen Ducey, which is Peter Ducey. Peter Ducey decided to come out his face and say, you guys in that Fox News yesterday, you know, the questioning and blah, 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 blah. He was complaining and shit. So Secretary Psaki was like, I asked your questions. I'm answering your question, right? Don't I call on you every time? Don't you go for a second round? And he was like, yes, but you know, he had a list of people. We're never on that list and blah, 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 blah. So she was like, listen, I'll be happy to have that conversation with you. She commented his socks, that he had on some nice socks. She was trying to be nice. I would say your whole shit is ugly. But, you know, she basically said, we can have this conversation later. But until then, you know, we always give people a fair chance. And they do. She does. I mean, what press secretary from the Trump administration give people second rounds to have, you know, ask questions? Jen Psaki answers the most stupidest questions. Answers the most stupidest questions from these reporters. And still, she is nice about it. I wouldn't be. I would be like, why are you asking me this stupid ass question again? Eventually she asked something like that, but it's very different. But to little Ducey. See, little Ducey, and I say little Ducey. Little Ducey, like Miss McCain, like Miss Huntsman, you know, they are what you call white privilege. Nepotism. They got their jobs through nepotism. They didn't get their jobs like Whoopi, Sonny, Joy Reid, Tiffany Cross, Jonathan Capehart, Don Lemon. They did not get their jobs through hard work. They had to wait till they were 40 and 50 to be on news anchors, be anchors, like news anchors, journalists. They have their own shows. They had to wait so long to have their own shows in their 40s and 50s. And close to 60, because Don Lemon is close to 60. Peter Ducey is what, 32? Abby Huntsman's my age. I'm actually 2 weeks older than her, to be exact. Meghan McCain is my sister's age. She's about to be 37. They're all young, and they've been having these kind of jobs since they were young. People like Joy Reid had to work 10 times hard. People like Don Lemon had to work 10 times hard. They had to start out in local TV. And the same with Tiffany, who started out as a producer. And Jonathan probably had to start out as a campaign organizer for Michael Bloomberg. They didn't start getting into like this whole news thing until they was like close to their 30s. And even that, they started off low. They didn't get to the ranking that they got to until they were like 40 and 50 years old. And these little young white kids who don't know shit, one got an art history degree and the others is through nepotism, have these jobs and don't know what the fuck they're talking about, did not take the time to do the research like the old school heads. So why I'm making this a big deal? Because I feel like they don't work hard enough. And these people are my age. Keep in mind, they my age. I don't even have the type of jobs they have. And I have my bachelor's degree. And I'm about to have my master's next year. I don't have it in media and everything. My degrees are going to be business degrees. And I have a nonprofit background. People are like, well, you could get into this business too. No, that's not my cup of tea. I like to do my platform because I like to curse a lot. And I talk real. If I get booked for a slot, that'll be fine. But until then, I like doing this and I like doing this for free. And why I like to do this for free is because I get to talk like myself. I get to be myself. And I get to interact with people that follow me. Versus being on TV, I have to be manufactured. I'm not a manufactured type of motherfucker. I never was. So, I mean, I'm from Harlem. And I don't want to say but I'm from Harlem. That's just is what it is. So, to, the nepotism children, you guys suck. And little Ducey, just shut the fuck up and do your job that you were hired to do. Through your comments. I remember when Meghan wanted to slander Sunny about not being a journalist. Sunny let her know that she has a degree in journalism. Yep, I remember that scene. It was a White House correspondent thing, and shut up. Meghan could shut up all the way, and Joy had the biggest smirk. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Meghan has an art history degree. What are you going to do with an art history degree? She could be teaching. And the only experience she had with politics, she worked for her dad. But she had the audacity this week to talk about, because we on Meghan, had to talk about qualifications. Basically trended on Twitter, I believe on Wednesday, saying that, because of what I said about qualifications, how she basically said, if you're a white straight male and you're qualified for a job, does that mean you won't get the job because of your race? Is the Democrat Party all about representation and not qualifications? So when she said that shit, Twitter had a fun time dragging that ass the whole entire day. From 11 o'clock all the way to 12 o'clock midnight that same day. Because she was out of her goddamn mind. Like, why would you fucking say something like that, knowing good and damn well that you have 2 black women that's on The View with you, 1 Italian woman, okay? And you have dozens of black people that work for ABC, and I believe ABC has a black president who oversees the network. So, like, why the fuck would you say that? And what we have went through for this racial reckoning, and you still on this bullshit? Like, really? Does it mean, do I have to give up my slot for The View? You should give up your slot because you suck. Let's keep it real. You're not the only conservative on mainstream TV. That's another thing I want to address. Meghan McCain is not the only conservative on mainstream TV. You have Nicole Wallace, who has a 2-hour show on MSNBC every day. And on CNN, SC has a show on Saturdays. Sarah Elizabeth Cupp has a show on Saturdays. She's a conservative. You have conservative commentators like Amanda Carpenter, Anna Navarro, who's also a guest host on The View on Fridays. Allison, I forgot her last name, Allison, who is a conservative. And you have Scott Jennings, who's a conservative on CNN. And then you have Sophia A. Nelson. She's an independent, but she's a conservative. So, I mean, like, you're not the only fucking conservative that's on mainstream TV. And Joe Scarborough, who, good grief. But either or, you're not the only conservative on mainstream TV. That's what I'm talking about. The white privilege is real. That's why, like, and people may not follow me no more, but that is exactly why I don't defend a whole bunch of white people, because of shit that Meghan says. Because of the shit that comes out your mouth. And that guy too, Michael Scarmish, whatever his name is. Yeah, him. So, to Meghan McCain. This is a message to Miss McCain. It may not reach her. It may reach her. I don't care how she reacts. Because I can give a fuck. Because that's how unbothered I am. You're not the only mainstream conservative that's on mainstream TV. You're not the only staunch conservative. There is Joe Scarborough on MSNBC. There's Nicole Wallace on MSNBC. And sometimes Steve Schmidt, if I said his name right. And then on CNN, you have Anna Navarro, who's also a guest host on The View on Friday. You have Amanda Carpenter, who is a conservative commentator. You have Sophia A. Nelson, who is an independent but a conservative commentator. You have Scott Jennings. You have Mike Shields. You have Sarah Elizabeth, who is your friend, S.E. Cupp, who has a show, and she's a conservative. And the Michael guy on Saturday, he's a conservative. So you're not the only staunch conservative that's a co-host on a show who's on mainstream television. So I'm going to need for you to get out your head and shut the fuck up. So, got to get to something else, but let me read one of your comments. Anna Navarro, Republican back. Yep. Anna Navarro is she's more on the moderate side, but she does have conservative values. Joe is a typical mediocre white male living in, yeah. Like I said, I will never forgive Joe Scarborough for him nor Mika for what they did and what they said about Hillary Clinton. No, I will never forgive them. Never, ever, ever. And Meghan is a forever victim. This whole voter suppression thing, I'm just going to keep it plain because I don't live in a state in Georgia, and I normally mind my business what goes on in other states because it has nothing to do with me. But I'll say this here. The days of white male mediocrity and supremacy is about to be over. Shit is changing. The country is changing. The racial demographic is changing. Black people are the rising majority, and under us is the Hispanic population and the AAPI community. So, and they're voting Democratic because the Democrat Party is the party that represents diverse values, unlike the Republican Party. So, to the Brian Kemps of the world, who is channeling that George Wallace energy, and to his Republican ilk that passed that racist, bigoted bill, beware of 2022 when you will, because Mr. Kemp will get his ass kicked by the black woman who almost beat you. The black woman who is actually smarter than you and who actually can build a diverse coalition of supporters and voters and of a diverse constituency. So to the white men in America, your days of glory and your days of ruling, it's about to be over. And it's just the beginning of it. Now, to the last thing. Yep, he is terrified. Absolutely. And Mika is a nepotism type too because of her daddy. So, for those who follow me on Twitter or will follow me on Twitter, I have said something about people going through some things. And I'm just going to read the tweet that I tweeted last week, and then I'm going to contrast to what I tweeted today. So if I can find that tweet, that will be superb. So here goes. The following progressives may go through some things pretty soon. Ryan Knight, Brianna Gray, MMA Socialist, Jimmy Dore, Katie Halper, Cenk Uygur, Anna Kasparin, Crystal Ball, Marianne Williamson, David Serrata, Peter Dow. Is there anyone I'm missing? And of course, I got the tweets of my life. And it was so interesting because the ritual was motherfucking real. And I'll read some of them to you because I found it very fascinating. And it was quite crazy. Trying to find it because I have a flood of tweets all over. So one says, just like Kamala Kotlis engaging in targeted harassment of people trying to promote class solidarity, nothing here to see. That was one. Another is K-Hive trying to be woke or something. Central Dems are fucking psychotic. That's another one. Nice threat, go fuck yourself. Somebody told me that 5 days ago. This is weirdo behavior to the max. K-Hive are threatening people. This K-Hive troll may not so thinly veiled threats, and it's up there 3 days later. This is violence at Twitter support. Is this a hit list? You need Jesus. Cool, now the K-Hive is making open threats on Twitter. Be ashamed if they get reported and shut down. You racist white progressive scum. Holler at threats. Oh no, somebody was actually at my back. Left-wing violence is America's most common. K-Hive is making hit lists now. David Serrata. My response to logging on and finding myself on an enemies list. Enemies list. Katie Harper says, my mom. Your mom. And there was Brianna Gray who quoted my tweet too, but she deleted it like a punk ass. You know what? But who am I? So, I tweeted that 5 days ago. And of course, people tried to get me suspended off of Twitter, but Twitter said that I did not violate anything. That it was actually not part of German law. But the crazy part is they were still with the shit for the whole entire weekend. But what I find the most interesting is a whole week later, here goes a tweet. Many leftist podcasts are dying as leadership is tanking. Secular Talk, that's that cow guy, 88.9 or 89%. Jimmy Dore, 42.9%. Brianna Gray's Bad Faith Podcast, whatever it is, 69.5. So, as these numbers are dwindling, I tweeted, these tweets are aging extremely well. That's a week later. So when I say that people are going through things, it's not a threat. It's a warning sign to let you know when you are doing wrong and when you constantly troll people or call people stupid and dumb just because they don't agree with your politics and your policies, you will experience some hardship. And it just don't include yourself. You will get hit last. It will go through your family members, whether it's your wife, your husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, children, your parents. You will go through some real hardcore shit when you constantly harass and attack people just because they don't fucking agree with your politics. Because trust me, there was many people on Twitter that harassed me. Not just because of that tweet, but from way before. Because I supported Kamala Harris. So all of you trolls out there, including the high-profile ones like Brianna Gray, David Serrata, Katie Halper, and I'll put Ryan Knight because, you know, he's not a blue check, but he's inspiring to be. Your day is coming. You don't know when it's going to hit you or when it's going to happen. Things happen unexpectedly to people. Think of it as a wake-up call. You guys are already losing leadership and viewership from your podcasts. That's just one. Your finances is going to hit, and then tragedy suddenly happens. And I'm not wishing things on anybody. So don't take this as a threat. Just take this as a warning that I need to change. That the chickens are coming home to roost on my ass. And I need to change my whole attitude. I need to redefine what progressivism is. So I don't be a motherfucking jacked up asshole on this bird app. And as for Katie Halper saying, my mom, you don't know my mother. I bet you if you see me, you will never come up to me and talk to me and tell me my mom. You wouldn't even know who I was because I changed my appearance so much. But you will never have the goals to step up to me. Because why? Because my intelligence will be an insult to your whole entire existence and your platform. There's a reason why Rolling Stones dropped you. Because your Useful Idiot podcast was a useless piece of shit. There was no concept to nothing. No one knew what the message was. Besides you criticizing Democrats and coming after my friend because you wrote an article saying that the K-Hive is coordinated and funded, which we're not. Where's my check? Because a nigga ain't getting paid. But, Katie, you may want to think about saying people's moms because you don't know. Something may happen to your family members. So, you saying my mom? Girl, you wish you never would have talked about my mother. And I'll leave it as that. As for Mr. Serrata, you get into arguments with women, makes me question, are you really a man? Because real men don't do that shit. Because Jimmy Dore did not hit up my thing. And I'm pretty sure he didn't do a podcast on me because I checked his feed. I did. And he wasn't worried about my ass. But you had the galls to pretty much challenge me. I'm a woman. You really gonna get into a Twitter beef with a woman? Makes me question your masculinity. So if you mad, I don't know what to tell you. And as for Miss Gray, you quoted my tweet because I saw it on my phone, but then I tried to look for it. I couldn't see it. Because why? Because you're a punk. Because if you was about that life, you would have had a substantial argument to combat me. And I didn't even at you. It was an opinion of you will go through some things. I wasn't threatening you. I'm the person that don't threaten people. If I got something to say, I will say it to your face. But obviously, you a whole entire punk because you deleted that tweet. And I don't have respect for punks. But however, I wish you the best of luck whatever you got going on in your life. Because the attitude that you have, mainstream media will never book you for your attitude and your vitriol towards people in mainstream media. You will always have to work 10 times harder because of your attitude. And as for Ryan Knight, you will always be a non-factor. Because why? Because half of the stuff that come out your mouth don't make no motherfucking sense. That's what happens when you don't go to college. But as I say, so those progressives who got a problem with what I said, you can pass the hell on through and let it fly over your goddamn head. Because you will never stop me from talking. I'm not threatened and I'm not bothered. Okay? You will not take my joy away. You will not steal my happiness because I will always shine. I may not have a lot of money in my pocket, but I have my health and my wealth. I have my dignity and I have my sanity. Ooh, lipstick right here. But I have God on my side. And no matter what, you will not stop my shine. Period. End of story. But until then, folks, you have a good night and be safe and be blessed.